Good evening and welcome to the City of Middletown, State of the City. Please welcome Mayor Joe DeSetefano.
The good news is I have a cold, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk the whole time.
I'll finish.
And clapping in the back. And also, it's nice to see a full room. I'd like to begin by thanking you once again, Council President Rodriguez, my partner in government here in the City of Middletown. We have been a team serving the residents of our city for 6 years, 6+ years, 6 productive years, laying out a vision and making positive changes in our community. We have not been afraid to tackle tough issues, have fought together against some special interests that were hurting our city, and have developed a plan to bring long-term financial stability to our city while improving services. To members of the Common Council, we have worked together in the spirit of bipartisanship, unlike our congressional representatives down in Washington. And this is for the public good of our city. Your input on issues is so important to us as a group of elected officials so we can reach consensus and do what's best in the best interest of our residents. To my office staff, Mary and Josephine, I'd like to thank them for another year of very hard work, not only on behalf of myself, but on behalf of our community. I thank all involved in city government, including your families, for the commitment and dedication in fulfilling your responsibilities, elected officials and employees representing the City of Middletown. I also need to extend a special thank you to my wife, Linda, my daughters, Nicole and Allie, and my family, and my mother-in-law, I think, came in tonight. She's here somewhere. I want to say thank you to my wife's family also, in essence, my family, for all their support over the years. I would like to open by addressing the families, your families, the parents and students of the Middletown School District. I have heard from so many of you regarding the bomb scares at our elementary schools and feel for you and your children. I know the words that this is happening all over the country are not comforting to you. You are concerned about your kids, their safety, their ability to get an education, and their emotional well-being. I have to be honest with you, I don't have the answers. You are aware that all police agencies from the local level up to the federal level are working hard and we have allocated all available resources to solving the swatting problem. President Rodriguez has 4 kids in our schools. He has written to our federal representatives, Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and Congressman Maloney, asking for more help from the Federal Communications Commission. Today, Senator Schumer was in town meeting with local representatives calling for more investigation. I don't think that's the problem. There's been plenty of investigation. I request tonight that our Common Council pass a resolution demanding federal assistance in addressing the swatting, not asking for more investigation, but asking for legislation that is necessary in order for the investigators to do their job in a meaningful way. The concerns of the parents go beyond the bomb scares, and I understand that. Your kids want a feeling of security, and many of you have requested that school resource officers be reinstated back into the schools, at least on the elementary level. As you know, this is a school board, school superintendent decision. The city is willing to do so. The issue of who pays, I believe, is very simple. To place SROs in the 4 elementary schools in the Middletown district would amount to very little money when you consider the size of the school budget. I estimate the cost to be in the area of $300,000 per year. If nothing else, it will give the parents and kids in these impacted schools some sense of security. Last week, I met with Senator Bonisic and Assemblywoman Gunther in Albany, asking them to consider my previous request, that they sponsor legislation exempting SROs from the property tax cap. This eliminates the reasoning given by the district that to meet the tax cap, either teachers or programs like the ROTC have to be cut to provide for SROs. My calculations show that a $300,000 expenditure will result in a 0.0027% increase in spending. I hope the school board and Dr. Eastwood will give this idea a second thought, even without the legislation. Let's work together to put SROs back into the Middletown schools. At this time, I'd like to give a department-by-department review, an overview, on how I see things are going here in the city of Middletown. My comments will be posted online, along with the individual reports filed by each department. I'd like to begin by addressing our senior program. This program is led by Julisa Sierra. She's here this evening with her husband, former Alderman Joel Sierra. Many communities in our area do not provide the services for seniors that we do in Middletown. We have a vibrant program with over 2,100 registered seniors in Mulberry House. This is an increase of over 300 people from 2014. To get a complete picture of what we do and what we offer at Mulberry House, you should visit the center or visit our website. But here are a few examples. They host blood drives, service clubs, dance classes, tax assistance programs, AARP, and more. We continue to operate the Senior Shuttle Bus Program and exercise programs, along with the Golden Age Seniors Club, which is very active. The socialization that occurs at Mulberry House is an important component in keeping our seniors young and active. I'd like to thank Julisa and your staff for your hard work and dedication throughout the year to our senior community, and thank you and the several volunteers that make these programs work. In order for government at any level to properly serve the public, it must be transparent, and that's what we are here in the city of Middletown. The person responsible for this in Middletown is our clerk, John Naumchik. Whether it's Channel 20, websites, any type of social media, John is involved one way or the other. I believe that without any objection from anybody on this board, it can be stated that John is our most organized person in City Hall. And that's a pretty good trait for a person who's responsible for maintaining records, I assume. His office is responsible for all record keeping from common council minutes and resolutions to the issuance of dog licenses. The office is responsible for getting the message out to the public. The city website this year had over 145,000 sessions with 365,000 views. The office also processes all city grievances for our labor unions and freedom of information requests from the public for access to city records. John and his office, Karen Cisco and Lori Graziano, do an excellent job for our city. Moving on to our assessor, who is everybody's favorite person. Everyone loves the assessor. Bonnie Bernaski and her staff do an excellent job working with various agencies, both inside city government and outside agencies, like the Orange County Real Property Services Office. They administer the veteran benefit exemptions and senior exemptions and assist with filing the STAR rebates. They work very closely with our building department in providing tax estimates for new construction and certain projects. They work hand in hand with the assessor's office. Working hand in hand with the assessor's office comes the city treasurer, Donald Paris. We just recently reappointed Don for another 3 years, and he earned it. Don and his assistant treasurer, Janet Gallo, are the caretakers of the city taxpayers' money. Since Governor Cuomo introduced and passed the 2% tax cap, Don, members of the Common Council, and I have been working very hard to meet this number, along with our other department heads. As you can see by this graph, our tax levy over the past 4 years has met the governor's property tax requirements. In 2013, our tax levy increased by 2%. In 2014, 1.14%, 2015, 1.62%, and 2016's budget, 1.48%. Besides keeping your taxes down, it made city residents eligible for the state property tax rebate. We have worked closely with our finance chairman, Alderman Massey, and revenue chairman, Alderman Witt, to control expenses and increase revenue opportunities to offset property tax increases. The responsibilities of the Treasurer's Office also include collection of all property taxes, water and sewer charges and fees charged by various departments. The office does the financial analysis and impacts of all city proposals that require borrowing and works with us to provide services in a more efficient manner. All of the work by the Treasurer's Office is subject to audits by both our own independent auditing firm and the New York State Comptroller's Office. Our most recent external audit indicated no adjustments were necessary to the office and their operations, and there were no negative comments, no negative management comments. These are the true indicators of whether the Treasurer's Office is operating efficiently and whether and I'm pleased to report to you tonight, to the public and the Common Council, that under Don Paris, the office is functioning quite well. Moving on to our Corporation Counsel and his sidekick, Richard Guertin, and his sidekick, Alex Smith. They are the city attorneys. The workload of this office has increased dramatically over the past 10 years. They provide verbal and written advice to all city departments, and with the litigious society we now live in, that incurs daily. They coordinate all Common Council resolutions with the city clerk and work closely with the Treasurer's Office on a host of issues, from tax sale to water and sewer collections. The office is very active working with our Economic Development Department on projects like the Clemson and Equilibrium Breweries, the Downtown Business Improvement District, and the City Industrial Development Agency. With more regulatory requirements coming down from the federal government on water and sewer operations, Rich has been a key advisor to Jacob Tawil, our Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, and Supervisor of the Water and Sewer Departments, working on industrial pretreatment programs and water safety to keep our residents safe. This office also handles all planning and zoning boards, DPW code enforcement matters that go to court, along with police department code enforcement issues, as well as labor negotiations. They are also responsible for handling city court matters related to traffic, generating approximately $250,000 a year in revenues annually. I present these numbers to the Common Council and the public for a reason. The workload of this office can no longer be done by two part-time attorneys. With so much litigation and regulatory responsibility, the time has come to go back to a full-time corporation counsel. Over the past 3 years, we have spent nearly $800,000 for outside legal counsel in the city of Middletown. I have been watching this very closely, and I believe that we can save in excess of $100,000 per year if we go this route. That would be a net savings. I will be forwarding to the Legislation Committee Chairperson, Alderwoman Sandy Summers, all of the documentation, and hopefully you will conduct the hearings and agree that we can increase productivity and reduce overall legal costs by going this way. A couple of years ago, Kiplinger magazine identified Middletown as the 8th best city to raise a family. I repeat this each year because sometimes we don't realize what we have in our own backyard. One of the reasons for this honor is the commitment to our youth and recreation opportunities for kids in this city. It is second to none. 2015 brought with it new leadership in our recreation program. Chris Brinkerhoff, our new Superintendent of Recreation and Parks, and Raylyn Aviles, the Assistant Superintendent, I believe both homegrown Middletown High School graduates, now lead that agency and that department. Chris and staff have been focused on improving facilities, increasing program revenues, and enhancing recreational opportunities for the residents of the city, both young and old. Alderman Tom Burr has chaired the Parks and Recreation Committee of the Common Council for many years and is doing an excellent job. You know, once in a while, I'll get a call from an angry resident telling me that there's nothing for kids to do in Middletown. Right next to my phone, I keep the annual Recreation Commission report. I urge the public to go online and review it. When I start to rattle off what we offer, besides the community center, the swimming pools, sports camps, tennis camps, playgrounds, soccer, cheerleading, Letters to North Pole, the Kids Harvest Festival, Bookmobile, Storytime programs, dog training, Mayor's Youth Council, movies in the park, and more, people are shocked. And when they hear it, some hang up before I'm even completed when I'm halfway through, out of embarrassment. The point is, we offer so much, and we want to offer more, and I'm sure Alderman Burr will agree with me as our representative from the Common Council. That is why, for the first time, we will be appointing to the Middletown Recreation Commission 2 great young people to participate in the decision-making for what youth programs we should offer or expand in our city. Let me introduce you to our first ever youth representatives to the Middletown Recreation Commission, Troy Chanel Johnson and Michael Torres. They will be appointed this evening to the board and serve until December 31st, 2017. Thank you for doing so. There they are in the front row right here. In the area of emergency services, our Chief Sam Barone leads the Middletown Fire Department with the help of his assistant chiefs, Don Lewis, Nick Barber, and Bob Brady. A recent economic impact study prepared by the Firemen's Association of the State of New York, FASNY, concluded that volunteer firefighters save New York taxpayers more than $3 billion annually. That's with a B. Our volunteer paid combined system saves us millions of dollars per year in Middletown alone. In 2015, we added 17 new volunteers to our ranks. In 2015, our fire department responded to 1,018 calls, up 52 from the previous year. The demand for services has increased over the years, yet we've been able to reduce staffing from 40 from many years ago down into the mid-20s. One of the benefits to the governor's tax cap is municipalities in New York must now look at how efficiently we deliver services. Hands-on management of the day-to-day operation by Chief Barone and his assistants has saved the city approximately $150,000 in overtime cost alone for fiscal year 2015. This department is functioning well, and I thank the chief and his assistants, members of the paid department, and all those volunteer firefighters who give their time and expertise, and sometimes, in the case of some volunteers throughout our country, their lives, to our communities. As you can see, we have a great team of department heads and employees working in so many key positions in city government. As our city has grown, so has the demand for services, including police service. Quality of life for a city begins with clean and safe community. The Middletown Police Department has been led by Chief Ramon Bethencourt since January of 2010. He's here this evening with his bureau commanders, Lieutenant Awanchu and Lieutenant Matakis. He was instrumental, Chief Bethencourt was instrumental in fully implementing a community policing strategy that has been very successful here in our city. This plan places foot patrols not only in our commercial areas, but also in our neighborhoods. The response from our residents has been very positive and has enhanced the feeling of safety and security in our residential communities. Middletown is a small city of over 28,000 people. Between 2000 and 2010, we grew by over 2%, one of the few cities in New York State to have an increase in population. And the surrounding township, the town of Walk Hill, has also seen a significant increase in population. Urban centers usually deal with society's problems such as homelessness, addiction issues, joblessness, and more. Middletown is a very caring community, the host of many programs designed to help people in need. Alderman Kleiner is the coordinator of some of these services, and he should be recognized for his work in this area and the volunteer time he does at the Warming Center. I want to thank Jerry publicly for all he does on that. More people usually means more crime. That's the downside of growth. We monitor all activity very closely, and we look for trends. I'm happy to report to you that the trend here in the city of Middletown is very positive in this area. Over the years, you haven't seen me issue press releases touting drops in crime for a reason. As the chief advised me in early 2010 when he came on board, we can't react to positive or negative short-term statistics, so we haven't. But we now have a 5-year average as reported by the FBI regarding crime trends in our city, and it's very positive for our residents and businesses. This will demonstrate the job our men and women of the Middletown Police Department are doing, and I'm sure it will make you proud. The FBI report shows for the years 2010 through 2014, violent crime has been reduced by over 30%. During this period of time, we have had 0 deaths due to gun violence and only 1 injury involving a bullet to body. In 2015, violent crime was reduced by an additional 7%, and property crime once again reduced by 16%. Again, statistics can change, but this is good police work. One reason for the positive news here is that there is more to policing than reacting and responding to calls for service. That's why the community policing program is so important. The community neighborhood program is so important. Please take notice when a police officer is walking or driving in your neighborhood. Take the opportunity to meet them outside and let them know what is happening in your neighborhood. And this, whatever it is, whether it's good or bad, if you see something bad happening in your neighborhood, let them know, because that's how we discover problems. This program works and can work better if more people participated, although the response has been overwhelming in favor of this. Another program that works is police interaction with our youth. Our Juvenile Aid Bureau participates in many community outreach programs. The DARE program with Officer Jackie Welch continues to have positive impacts on children throughout the Middletown School District. This is funded by the city, despite the fact that less than half of the students are from Middletown. We feel that strongly about the program. Our neighborhood enhancement officer is Officer Chris Bailey. He works closely with community members to identify issues in your neighborhoods and develop solutions to problems that may arise in your neighborhood. The department interacts with the Neighborhood Watch program, led by Alderwoman Kate Ramkissoon, the Middletown Cares Coalition, and the Mayor's Youth Council to improve community relations. While the quality of life has improved dramatically over the past 5 years, we are still left with the root cause of most crime, at least here in our area, and that is illegal drugs. We finally see this issue being tackled on the national political level as a main topic of presidential debates on both sides of the aisle. America has finally opened its eyes to an epidemic that urban areas have been fighting for many, many years. In 2015, the police department made 465 arrests for dangerous drugs and marijuana. The main concern is that people of all ages, but especially the target group, young people, are losing their lives due to drugs. And that is why our narcotics unit has focused on many long-term investigations into drug trafficking. We work with other police agencies, local, state, and federal, to target those who are peddling heroin and other dangerous drugs to our young people. In closing on police issues, I would like to congratulate Lieutenant Frank Graziano, who graduated from the FBI National Academy this past December. He joins the three gentlemen in the front row, Chief Bethencourt, Lieutenants Iwanchu and Matakis, as graduates of this prestigious academy. It demonstrates the City of Middletown's commitment to professionalism within our police agency. Let's move downtown to the Business Improvement District, led by John Degnan. The BID is a self-taxing agency of downtown property owners with a budget of over approximately $100,000. It was established to enable property owners to pay for additional improvements and services beyond what the City of Middletown or any community that has a BID pays for. They handle the downtown promotions, the farmers market, events such as the Run for Downtown, Dave and Anna Madden's event from Something Sweet, our downtown beautification programs, the weekly concert series, holiday events like the tree lighting ceremony, and more. The BID is an important part of our downtown success, and John Degnan's face has become the face of downtown and the city. Former teacher, football coach at Middletown High School, loved by all his players, businessman, and now our Assistant Economic Development Director. John truly is the heart and soul of our community and is doing a tremendous job on downtown redevelopment. This leads me into the Community and Economic Development area, led by Maria Bruni. If you recall the Times Herald Record front page last month and the story inside, Maria was named #1 of the top 16 people to watch in our region for 2016. That's an honor well-deserved because of her hard work, dedication, professionalism, and commitment to our city. This office plays many roles. It is mostly funded by the federal grant known as the Community Development Block Grant. The community development side of the office works on neighborhood stabilization through housing rehabs and improvements utilizing loans and grants. Another part of their responsibilities are the operation of the Paramount Theater and promoting civic and cultural activities and affairs in our city. We are now showing first-run movies at the Paramount with great success, live performances with great success, like our sellout performance of Kansas, and we have more to come for 2016. We then added a new responsibility to that office, and that is a home ownership project and a home ownership program. We began this by the development of a community development agency. Our pilot home renovation sale is a former rundown home, former two-family home located at 53 Prospect Avenue. You're looking at the before and after pictures. Through this agency, and partnering with the community not-for-profits, we will be closing on this home with a family in the very near future, making home ownership affordable. The buyer makes a 10-year commitment to staying in this home, and they receive a significant grant of up to $35,000 in some cases. The State Department of Homes and Community Renewal was so excited about this program and the potential viability of it that they have come down, met with myself and Maria, and they are looking into partnering with us to increase the grant amount by an additional $20,000. These were abandoned homes that the city took back on taxes. We fix them up, repay the city the taxes that are owed, make a small profit, and a family moves in. Doesn't get any better than that. We are taking empty, vacant homes that are adding to the deterioration of a neighborhood, improving them, and placing people in an affordable housing situation. These are people that are privately eligible for their own mortgages. There are no subsidies on the mortgage side. It's just a program that was created here locally and has been what we believe will have great success. If you're interested in this program, we have 5 homes in the next round that we'll be doing. Please contact Maria's office. The number is on the screen, and she's doing a terrific job with this program as well as her staff. Our focus on the economic development side continues to be repurposing of vacant large industrial and commercial structures, and we have had great success over the past couple of years. This past year, the city was recognized by the Orange County Partnership with an award for economic development excellence due to the hard work of Maria, Jacob Tawil, and Rich Guertin, along with the elected officials. I will have more to say on economic development as I outline our projects near the end of my presentation. My last department review is our largest, and that's the Department of Public Works, led by Jacob Tawil. Before I do that, we also need to welcome our new Deputy Commissioner, Chris Gross, and acknowledge the hard work of our Senior Deputy, Doug Hendrickson. Chris came to us through with Mike Mosier leaving the job, and I also want to thank Mike for his many years of service to the City of Middletown. DPW consists of many sub-departments, and under Jacob's direction and on a daily basis, they handle streets, sanitation, water, sewer, code enforcement, building inspections, and long-term planning for city infrastructure needs. Jacob is at the forefront of almost every decision I make in the city and serves in an advisory role to myself and the Common Council on many, if not most, issues. He has a lot of opinions. His report, it's a little giggle because everybody knows it's true. His report is lengthy and available for review. I will highlight a few key areas. Code enforcement is the other part of improving our quality of life and protection of our communities. Our rental inspection program, which is a model program, has completed inspections of nearly 5,000 rental units. And we have used the power of condemnation on 38 of those units where the property owner has either refused to repair the problem or has walked away. We have focused our efforts to tear down abandoned and unsafe vacant homes in residential neighborhoods that cannot be rehabilitated. As an example, here we have 40 Lake Avenue, a crumbling abandoned home in a nice neighborhood that was beginning to impact adjacent property owner values in a very negative way. On the left side of the screen is the before, and I know when Miguel and I were campaigning, we stepped up on the porch and I fell through. So Miguel went first though, so he broke the board. On the right side is the property as it stands today. That's code enforcement and demonstrates how important code enforcement is. Other DPW projects spearheaded by Jacob include the CPV generation plant in Wawayanda and the selling of treated sewage known as gray water for cooling purposes at this plant. While criticized by some who don't agree with the project, Middletown's role is to solely sell gray water. We had no role in the approval of this plant, despite what some may say. An important fact that the critics are missing, that the project is in Wawayanda, not in the city of Middletown. When operational, this project will inject approximately $500,000 annually to our sewer fund. Our decision to sell gray water is also environmentally sound, since this project would have been moving ahead using groundwater and other surface water connections that Wawayanda has access to. So us providing gray water was an environmentally sound position because it did not kill the project. All it would have done was have them move from potable water to treated sewage, which the gray water is. The city is still dealing with FEMA to maximize grants to rebuild our infrastructure after Irene and Sandy. 2 projects have been completed, including the rebuilding of a flood diversion wall to protect the Aspen housing from future storm events. We were awarded $3 million for the Monhagan Avenue drainage way, the culverts and the banks. This project is nearly complete. We worked with Congressman Maloney's office and the Orange County Community Development Office through our legislators, Jeff Berkman, Mike Paduch, Melissa Bonasic, and County Executive Steve Newhouse. And we're very confident that we will be receiving additional funding for improvements in the Maple Avenue, Maple Hill Park area, and expect final approval soon for that money. Alderman Johnson and Alderwoman Ramkasoon are very much involved with this hazard mitigation program that directly impacts the 3rd Ward, but also impacts most of the city. Jacob has also secured funding on several transit-related projects, including the County Route 78 roundabout, which is a $1.4 million project that is funded 80% by the federal government, and another major grant for traffic operation improvements through major city streets. This will include upgrading traffic lights, ADA signalized at each intersection, pedestrian crossings becoming compliant with ADA regulations, ADA sidewalk ramps, sidewalk reconstruction, and road reconstruction. This project is estimated to cost $7.5 million, and again, with 80% grant funding. The New York Rising program is another successful effort of ours in securing grant funding for infrastructure. We were designated by Governor Cuomo in 2013 as a winner of the $3 million for drainage improvements and improving infrastructure to meet economic development goals. The design work, the final engineering will be hired at the upcoming Common Council meeting, and there may be a resolution tonight designating that person or that firm. I see our CSEA members here this evening, and I welcome you. It's nice to see you. Unfortunately, to have a high-profile issue to get you here, but we welcome you in the future to many more meetings when the tone is a little bit better between us. But sanitation is a service provided by your members, is a major area, and I would like to focus on that for a little while this evening. Over the past few years, we have had a major push to increase recycling. Alderman Jean Francois was appointed by President Rodriguez to head the recycling committee and is working very hard. This year, we did actually have an increase in recycling, 3.3%, but we need to do more, and I think all of us recognize that. I'm sure you've heard that the city is looking at how we pick up and dispose of your garbage. That's to the public. The union has heard it. We spend in excess of $3 million per year just to pick up and dispose of your trash. My proposal is to shift to the mechanical automated arm system that you see in many communities. When Governor Cuomo introduced the tax cap and it passed, I was one of the few mayors, I believe, in New York State to support him. I do believe the state could do more in mandate relief and increasing state aid, and the implementation of the tax cap requires us to think outside the traditional box of local government, and that is my reason for supporting it. I have mentioned in previous years the decision to go from a two-person truck in the fire department, known as the tiller, to a one-person truck in the fire department. Without the tax cap, this discussion would have never happened. While we had much resistance and pushback at the time, this decision alone, this one decision on buying a piece of equipment through our capital budget, allows us to save over $400,000 per year in employee costs and maintain the same number of fire trucks in service. Keep in mind, the tax cap doesn't mean you have to stay within 2%. If you feel your needs cannot be met by staying within the cap, you can override it by a supermajority of the board. In this case, our traditional budget would require 5 votes by the Common Council. An override for the tax cap would require 6. Fortunately, we in the city are not there yet, but we could be there soon. Setting aside our water and sewer fee subsidies to our general fund, the 2016 budget is balanced with a transfer of $600,000 from our debt service fund. These are funds that were borrowed over the previous years, several years, for large capital projects that came in under budget. So we use those excess funds, along with the water and sewer subsidy, to balance our 2016 budget. But we need to make that up in future budgets. We also have the sale of real property factored in for an additional $600,000 this year. You cannot maintain a stable city using one-shot revenues. Impossible. I've been raising the red flag, cautioning everyone that we will be faced with either changing our ways, laying off significant numbers of employees with a reduction in services, or overriding the tax cap. An override should be the last resort. Last February, I mentioned the issue of changing how we pick up trash in our city. This next graph will show you that 17.3% of our tax levy goes to sanitation services. I saw the opportunity for huge savings, but there are other factors for consideration that are equally important. Let's address worker safety. Since January 1st, 2012, there have been 50 injuries in the sanitation department, many long-term, that resulted in workmen's compensation claims just in sanitation alone. Remember, it's a 15-person department. 50 injuries, many long-term. This is hard work. It's backbreaking over long periods of time. I think even those employees that are here this evening will attest to that. This is how we do it now. Picking up heavy cans of trash filled with ice and snow and hanging off the back of a garbage truck in slippery cold weather creates hazards. That's reflected in the 50 workmen's compensation claims over the past 4 years. You see that result, and it's not something that we can ignore. So even without a nickel of savings, our main focus should and is worker safety, and I started looking for an alternative. After worker safety, the next area of concern is quality of service. My proposal dealt with the city maintaining all aspects of sanitation operations. Alderman Massey, chairman of the Finance Committee, and one of the 3 persons who presents the budget to the Common Council, thought we should at least look at privatization. He led a discussion on the Common Council, at a Common Council meeting, and many had reservations and questions about long-term costs versus short-term benefits, the quality of service, what happens to yard waste, and recyclables. Alderman Massey was going to research on his end his proposal to consider privatization, along with a legal mechanism to transfer a service provided by the CSEA union to a private company. The next area of concern is will the trucks with the arm have the ability to maneuver down many of our narrow streets in our city. We heard the same argument regarding the tiller truck and the fire truck. I believe so, having witnessed this operation being done in many other communities. But maybe we can't. So you may have some routes that require a second person to maneuver the can into position. But even with that extra manpower, the workforce can still be reduced from a 3-person truck to a 2-person truck on those specific routes. We currently have 3 people on 4 trucks each night. Next is cleanliness and recycling. Let's be frank here. Certain neighborhood streets in this city are a mess, and a contributing factor is the placement of garbage in bags on the sidewalks, not using containers. Animals tear the bags. The bags get torn by carrying them to the curb. There's the safety issue again of sanitation staff being cut by grabbing bags with glass or other sharp objects in them. And the wind blows garbage down the street, and probably many, many more scenarios. We need standardized containers, and we can also increase recycling by limiting the containers and enforcing the recycling program. We currently save $52,000 per year on recycling efforts with that 6% number. If we raise that number to 20%, which is easily reachable, we can save an additional $110,000 per year. And lastly, the savings to our taxpayers. As I have stated publicly, without improvements to worker safety, any savings would be meaningless. Alderman Massey will generate a savings number with the utilization of a request for proposal to the private carding companies. He can and will outline his proposal to the Common Council and the public as we move forward. My proposal, while requiring a significant upfront capital investment, will also have a savings. These numbers will be presented to the Common Council along with Alderman Massey's for consideration. This will also be a very public, transparent process in which we address the concerns of our residents. I have already received several questions from residents, and each and every one will be addressed. We will also conduct public hearings to listen to your concerns. And while I had very strong words in response to the press release issued by the CSEA, I understand their concerns about employees losing their jobs. Let me assure the public, and let me assure the public, because this is very important based on the news story, that the union was not blindsided by this proposal, not one bit. Go online and read my 2015 State of the City. It's right there. We have also had contract negotiations throughout the year with the union, and alternatives to current garbage situations have been discussed. So it was disingenuous to accuse the city of damaging labor relations, but that is now behind us. So with this brief exchange being behind us, I reached out to the CSEA Southern Regional President, Billy Ricaldo, and local CSEA President Glenn Arnold to listen to the cost savings measures that they claim they have. In that respect, I'm all ears. I heard back from both, and we're scheduling a meeting in the very near future to see what they can put on the table. I am also willing to discuss with the union a plan that any loss in positions would be accomplished through attrition. This would mean less savings up front, but that could be offset with productivity in other areas and other sectors of the city, allowing us to maintain employees until a retirement or vacancy occurs and not fill the position at that point. There are ways to do this, not only without hurting people, but as I said earlier, the key to improving worker safety. As you can see, the DPW department, with the most employees in the city, keeps the city running and functioning. I want to personally thank Jacob for all his efforts in that department, and all his staff and all his employees for doing such a fine job in our city. My last segment is to update you on citywide projects that our team here at City Hall, myself, Council President Rodriguez, Finance Chairman Massey, Commissioner Tawil, Economic Development Maria Bruni, John Degnan, and Rich Guertin, assisted by many other people, work on a daily basis. This is intended to show you that last year's dreams are becoming a reality for the city of Middletown. Many of the projects I will be mentioning are moving forward due to the assistance of Senator John Bonisic and Assemblywoman Gunther. They have both been very instrumental and successful in obtaining millions of dollars of grants, state grants, on our behalf. Let's begin with the Heritage Trail. You have heard it here many times. This project is 21 years in the making, and guess what? It's here. My thanks goes out to County Executive Steve Newhouse. I was on Steve's transition team, and he advised me then that he was committed to making this trail connection from Goshen to Middletown a reality. He followed through on his word, and funding is now in place. Besides our county executive, I need to also acknowledge the hard work of our legislator, Jeff Berkman, who was the minority leader for many years and was relentless in this issue, along with Alderman Kleiner. And our other representatives on the county level, Mike Paduch, who's also here this evening, and Melissa Bonisic, who just recently started representing the city. Must also acknowledge the hard work of the Middletown Trail Advocates and Elizabeth Albahar. The final design will be completed shortly, and construction is expected to start in 2016. The Heritage Trail will go through our proposed transportation center, the new Coach USA bus station, and commuter lot. This is a $2 million project funded by the New York State Department of Transportation and is going in front of the Planning Board in the spring of 2016. Construction is scheduled to begin in 2016 on a whole new layout, as you see on the screen. We don't have a rendering, but the Heritage Trail will be coming through it, a new commuter lot, improvements to the bus station itself, and safe access for buses and patrons to use the commuter service and bus service, along with local bus service. Next is the Woolworths Adaptive Reuse Project. A building mostly vacant for the past 20 years will once again be an integral part of downtown. We have purchased the vacant land on Orchard Street next to the former Boy Scout building, adding parking and tying into the Woolworths project. We'll be bringing the Heritage Trail through the building onto North Street, through Jerry's Park or King Street, giving the people an option, all while developing 4 beautiful commercial spaces of approximately 2,000 square feet in each, 4 of them, 2 on each side, as you see the corridor there. That's a 16-foot corridor going through the Middletown, the middle of the building. The back of the building will be torn down, making the old Thrall Library more attractive for reuse. There'll be parking added in the back and parking added onto the Orchard Street vacant lot. This is a project which is running well over $1 million, and at this point, I believe we have almost $700,000 in state money committed to the project. So we may do it incrementally, but I think the project is going to move very quickly due to some of our lobbying up in Albany. We continue along the trail to the Equilibrium Brewery. I see Pete Berman here, one of the principals in the Equilibrium Brewery. I want to thank you for your investment in our city. This project was awarded funding under Governor Cuomo's Regional Economic Development Grant Program and is currently under construction, opening soon, located behind City Hall. Joe Massey won't have to go far for a beer anymore. He has 2 choices now, Players or Equilibrium. This is our second brewery along the trail, the first being Clemson Brothers, a beautiful restoration project that opened in October of 2015. And here we have the ribbon cutting, and that is when our county executive made the final commitment saying he was going to make the project work. We are also getting a lot of interest for development along the trail, especially some of the larger buildings. Continuing further along the trail is the Mill at Middletown, a housing and job training project located at 42 Mill Street, which was an abandoned old factory ready to fall. A building that would have cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to tear down is now under reconstruction with an addition and will be the location of 42 units of workforce housing along with job training for the service industry. Now we move to King Street. The King Street walkway will be a terrific addition to our downtown and is now under construction. We hit a few snags early with this project, but the cooperative winter and the contractor Anthony Monaco Landscaping have begun work, and the project is now ahead of schedule. Our next project that we talked about last year was our city court relocation project, and that is also moving ahead. Assemblywoman Gunther was able to secure $2.7 million for the purchase and renovation of the former federal court building on South Street. All we are waiting for now is final approval by the state of New York and the state agencies, and this project will begin this year. Michelson Studios, another adaptive reuse of a former rail yard repair building. It occupies 12 acres of property in our industrial area. They recently completed the largest soundstage in New York State, 60,000 square feet with 60-foot high ceilings. They are in a very competitive industry, though. Last Tuesday, I was in Albany lobbying our legislators, hoping to extend the tax credit for film production that is 30% in the Mid-Hudson Valley to 40% to even the playing field with upstate New York and western New York. Orange County is seeing a lot of movement in attracting these studios, but the long-term viability of this type of industry in the Mid-Hudson Valley depends on an even playing field. In the area of education, I am also pleased to announce the expansion of Tawil Medical College. They have added 40,000 square feet to their school and have added their new master's program, and that program has completed year one. This is a project that's had a tremendous impact on our city and keeps on growing. The next project is the Middletown Community Campus, and this is, in the words of Donald Trump, huge for us. Let me begin by thanking Dan Depew, the supervisor of the town of Walk Hill. We worked together to resolve a 2-decade-long disagreement in litigation in this section of the town and city. Very shortly, the maps will be filed, officially bringing the entire MPC property into the city, along with the dog park, the City of Middletown Dog Park, that is physically in the town of Walk Hill. What this allowed us to do is to present a plan and begin development of this site, and we are. The MPC site is 232 acres, with many buildings in disrepair and a lot of vacant land. We submitted a comprehensive application for infrastructure funding through the REDC with an estimated project cost of $11 million. I will be asking the City Council for funding to leverage our side of the project, which will be to tear down the one large vacant building on the ground, along with clearing out the fire damaged property from last year. That project alone will run in excess of $1.5 million. In round one of the REDC project, we received funding for $500,000 in planning and infrastructure funding. We have attracted a major anchor project for the site, making us eligible for additional funding in the governor's next round. Our major anchor tenant is Fayette College. They are currently renovating 3 buildings on the grounds to be utilized for college purposes. They expect to have part of this project up and running in 2016, with phase 1 completed, the entire phase 1 completed in 2017. We're hoping that there will be a phase 2 with the growth and addition of this fine school. When fully implemented over the next 5 to 10 years, our projections show shovel-ready sites with a potential for 75,000 square feet of light industrial space, an additional 350,000 square feet in light manufacturing, education, and office space. In another major project that is our planning stage, is almost complete and will come about in 2016, is the former rail bed behind City Hall. Last year, I announced plans for our skate park on this part of the property, and that is in my capital budget request for funding in 2016. The Heritage Trail will be coming through along with development projects like the Equilibrium Brewery that is located adjacent to this trail. We will be expanding public parking and creating a park-like atmosphere, all tying into our downtown walkability plan. We have cleared all environmental hurdles, and this project is ready to go, pending some funding from our capital budget in 2016. We have other large projects in the works that will be announced as they develop further, such as the reconstruction and redevelopment of the Tompkins Building and the 11 King Street Building, along with the sale of the Flanagan's Building in the industrial area of our city. And we also have more. As you can see, my message is very positive because that's where our city is right now. We need to keep the momentum moving forward, and I believe that the plan we have in place will do just that. Once again, I commit to serve you with integrity, character, respect, and accountability. Good night, and thank you very much.